Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another episode of In Depth with David. You guys must all be sick of seeing me because this is the third time I'm doing a podcast today. But we're not talking about the Celtics. We're not talking about the Red Sox. We are going to be talking about the Bruins. We're going to be talking about the Bruins' Game 5 performance against the Washington Capitals in the first round of the playoffs. They end up winning series in 5 games, winning this game last night 3-1, winning the series 4-1. And they will be moving on to the second round of the NHL playoffs. And once again, I'm joined by my cousin, Brian. Brian, how are you doing?
Doing well. Bruins did a lot better than the Celtics in the playoffs so far. So,
ouch. That hurts. I'm just kidding. Look, it was glad we won. And we talked about this right before we went live. Glad we're able to move on, get some rest. It's well needed, well deserved. But that was not our best performance at all.
No, we got outshot heavily, and Rask kept us in it like he has a few times this series.
And it felt like it was going to be a long game right from the beginning when the Bruins line, the first line, struggled to get off the ice as there was a long shift by the Capitals right at the beginning. I think we took a couple icings, and that first line of Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak was on the ice for, I think, over 2 minutes straight, it's
exhausting.
Which is very exhausting because how long would you say is like an average shift for a line on the ice?
Like, honestly, less than a minute you want to be out there for because you want to be able to go like top speed, like do your hardest for, as long as you can, then just get off the ice. And if you're skating your hardest, you really can't go over a minute or else you'll be gassed. So,
right. That's what I figured. And later in the period, Jensen gets a slapper from the blue line, but it gets saved by Rask. And then the penalty parade continues once again for the Bruins and the Caps, really.
Yeah.
Hathaway and Hall get matching roughing penalties. And then Pastrnak trips Schultz, so the Caps go on the power play. And at the end of the power play, the Bruins are still in the PK, but DeBrusk and Wagner get a nice 2-on-1 opportunity. And Wagner's shot was saved by Samsonov. Just a nice save, good opportunity, but can't fault him for making the save. And then Wilson cross-checks DeBrusk later in the period, so the Bruins go on the power play. So I don't know what to chalk this up as, just light officiating or just, bad discipline. But this series went out in flames with the penalties as that break continued.
It's a continuing theme in the series, just a lot of penalties. And DeBrusk, I think right after that shot it was after the whistle and Wilson just cross-checked him in the head. But DeBrusk has been getting a lot of chances, so he's looked good.
Right. I mean, obviously he started off the series with 2 straight goals in the first couple of games. And then I think he had one of the better series because even though he didn't score any points after that, at least goals, he did a good job of generating chances.
Yeah, for sure. And that's huge for him. And that's big for our third line because we already know our top 2 lines can generate chances. So it's nice to have that on your third line.
So Bruins go on the power play. And Hall to Ritchie happened a couple times. Hall found Ritchie in the middle for a one-timer. Samsonov denied it. Then at the end of the power play for the Bruins, Hall found Ritchie again, but this time Taylor was in the middle. Nick was on the right side. Another save by Samsonov, but it's just good. I think one thing I took away from that is even though they don't play on the same line, I respect the chemistry between them.
Yeah, it's good that our power play is generating chances because we had beginning of the series we had a rough time doing that, but hopefully we can carry that into the next series. And that's not our first unit; that's our second unit. So have our second unit producing like dangerous chances like that is a really good sign.
Is it kind of an underrated aspect of a good hockey team for the players to generate chemistry with people that they don't necessarily play with on the same line, but maybe only play with on the ice together in like power play or PK situations?
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing, and because it's so important to generate chances on a power play, and you need to know where your line mates are going to be, and you might not play with them that often, but I'm sure they practice it a lot. During practice, they probably have power play scenarios and stuff, so they get to work on it there. So it is really important because when you're on the power play, you want to be able to move the puck around efficiently and, find the open person, and that's what they were doing.
And after all that, later in the period, Eller drives the puck to the center, and then he finds Sheary on the right side near the post, but Rask robs him. And this was probably the best scoring chance up until this point in the game, and the Caps made a nice play on it. Sheary had a great shot, but Rask read it the whole way. And I mean, this just speaks to how well his goaltending was in this series. He made that look really easy when, in all reality, that's a tough play to tough play to make.
Yeah, for sure. Cherry is pretty. There's like a right across the crease pass, and yeah, Rask got it. So it's so nice to have him playing like this, and it's like in 2019. I know he didn't have the best game 7, like when it really mattered, but up until that point, he was my Conn Smythe winner at least, and I think a lot of people had him winning the Conn Smythe if the Bruins won that game. But he's been in really good form this series so far, so let's just hope it continues.
Is playoff Rask a real thing? Because we saw it in 2013. That's my first memory of Tuukka. I think that's really when we gave him the keys, because that's when Tim Thomas left. Obviously, he was an animal in that playoff run. 2019, as you just said. Is there something like, would you say Tuukka's a lot better in the postseason than he is in the regular season?
Honestly, he's good in both. He's won Vezinas, like being the top goalie in the league, so he gets it done. He gets it done the regular season and playoffs, but
unless it's game 7.
Yeah, obviously he's yet to win the cup, so he's not good every single game, but he is like the majority of games he carries, or he's there when we need him to be there. So he's just a solid all around goalie, I think. The
only other game 7 I remember it being tough to watch Tuukka was 2014 against Montreal. We were the 1 seed that year. That was the year we had a Ginla and all that, and tough night for Rask also that night. But hey, that's years in the past, and we're focused on 2021. Moving on after that, the questionable penalty woes continue in the series as Marchand gets a roughing penalty for God knows what.
I don't even remember this penalty.
So it was, they were both, I think, Marchand and the Caps player were skating to behind the net to hustle to get the puck.
Yep, I remember. That was a very questionable call. They were both, I think it was Marchand and John Carlson. They were both arriving to the puck at a similar time, and one of them had to take initiative and say, I'm getting this puck. And Marchand did that. He, gave a little, just bumped into Carlson a bit and, got good positioning on him, and that was deemed a roughing penalty for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Have you seen that be called a penalty at all this season, like a play like that? Because I haven't watched too much hockey outside the Bruins, but it doesn't take, a extreme fan of the NHL to know that that's probably not going to be called a penalty in most instances.
Yeah, the puck, I don't know why it was called. The puck was close enough to them, so it wasn't interference, and so I think Marchand got his hand was up a little bit high, and I guess that's why they called it rough. I really don't know. In my opinion, it shouldn't have been a penalty, and in Jack Edwards' opinion, it shouldn't have been a penalty. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Before we get to the Edwards thing, I just want to bring up, or actually, he was the one who broached this during the broadcast, but that's called a roughing penalty. And what Orlov did to Miller is also a roughing penalty. Make it make sense.
No, it doesn't. It's not consistent at all. I don't know.
So this idea has often been talked about in the NBA, where they want the refs to do press conferences after the games to explain their calls that they made throughout the whole 48 minutes of play. Is that something you think should be entertained in the NHL, for the refs to do interviews after all the calls they make in a 60-minute playoff game?
I never really thought about that before. I haven't even, but that would, that'd be a lot of pressure on the refs. Right. But I'm sure they would probably think twice about calling things, because they'll be like, I'm going to have to explain this after the game. So maybe I bury my whistle, because and it might lead to, less weak calls, because sometimes refs just like to even, if they're calling a lot of penalties on one side, they'll just call whatever they can to get the other team in the box, just so it evens it up a little bit. And you
Exhibit A being this series.
Yeah, you see that once in a while. So, maybe it would prevent things like that, but I never really thought about that before. But I'm sure if they implemented it, it would probably have a positive impact on, how they call the game.
I wouldn't mind if that happens in the playoffs. I don't want to see it in regular season. Or even preseason. I couldn't care less if you screw up a call in the preseason. But playoffs, when it matters most, sure, I wouldn't mind that. So we'll see if that's something that they entertain. But nonetheless, Marchand gets a penalty on him. And yeah, I agree with Jack Edwards. I think we should take the blood test of that referee. And he's clearly
hallucinating. Yep.
Yeah, so Bruins kill it off, though. And then right after we kill it off, Craig Smith just screws over the Bruins again by tripping Ovi. It's kind of not hard to blame him on this play. It was a kind of a close play, and I get Craig Smith was trying to go for the puck, but
Yeah, he tripped him.
you just got to be more disciplined. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And total of 12 penalty minutes in the first period from both sides. Just the theme of this series.
It's over half a period in penalty minutes. So,
which is weird because it's like I feel like the last few years, it's just the NHL has been trending away from being more. I guess I don't want to use the word soft, but I remember way back in the day, like Bruins Canadiens 2011 to 2014, peak of the rivalry. There would be like 80 penalty minutes total in a whole game, and now it's like. You kind of simmered down for a bit, but now it's picking up again. Is that just because of the playoffs or officiating, or is it a bit of both?
I mean, it's probably a bit of both, but I don't know. I think the game, like you really had to earn your penalties in, like through 2011 to 2014. So like it was a lot more physical then, I think. And now I guess the officiating has changed because they're maybe trying to make it a little less physical and protect players because I don't know. The game's just changing, so I can see why the penalties are back up because I think refs just call like a lot. I don't know. They just call a lot more these days, even though the like what's there isn't as it's a little more weak than it was in 2011. Like I don't really know how to explain it, but
I get what you mean. Do you get as mad as me when the refs try to break up fights? Because they do it more now than they ever do. Like just. They even try and get in it when like they're about to drop their gloves, and it's like if you want to get punched, that's fine. Like get in the way, but like let them fight.
Yeah, if you already have your gloves dropped, you should just let them throw a few. I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, it is what it is.
I get it in some cases, like, but if the gloves are off, just let them go.
Yeah, honestly. And then we talked about this in text message. This next point, but. McAvoy and Tom Wilson collided behind the net. I believe it was behind the Bruins net. And then Jack Edwards says, "Oh, that was like an executive's desk toy." And I didn't get this at first, but do you want to explain to the viewers what he meant? Because this is kind of weird.
So executive's desk toy. I think there's the Newton's cradle. It's like there's 4 balls on strings and they bounce off each other. And I mean, I don't know where Jack Edwards pulled that out of, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was referring to with that one. So.
And the Bruins, yeah, I mean, I just, once you explained that to me, that was super clever by Jack Edwards. And I think that was something like you can tell sometimes when he says stuff in the booth, Andy Brickley, like you can't see his face, but he probably was looking at him like, Jack, like what the hell are you saying?
It's probably just like.
You can tell Jack Edwards, or Brickley is like that friend who cringes when they're out with like their cringeworthy friend. He's like, God, why did I choose to go out with you tonight? But, no, we love them. They're a great tandem in the booth.
Yeah, Brick's. I like Brick for sure.
He used to play hockey, right?
Yeah, he did. It was like a long time ago, obviously, but
right. Yeah. So that's the end of the period. I would say it was a pretty even period. It was weird because after all that madness at the beginning, where it seemed like the Caps were getting a ton of shots on net, the Bruins actually started the game out shooting the Caps 8-2, and then the Caps came on a comeback towards the end of the period, and they ended up out shooting the Bruins by the end of it 10-9.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like it, like that we were out shooting them that badly. I was surprised when that stat came up.
Right, because they just dominated so much of the ice time. It seemed like in the first part of the first period, and the fact that we were the ones who were out shooting them in that part of the first period was weird to me, but. Statistically, it seemed like as even as the period can get.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we head into the second period, and the Caps are still on the power play because the Craig Smith penalty was towards the end of the first period, so it carried over to the beginning of the second. And Schultz throws one on net from the blue line. Orlov tries to jab it in, screening Rask, but Tuukka makes a pad save. I mean, we could just go on and on about the way Tuukka performed last night, but he was making some unreal saves. Like, there was one where someone even just threw it on net, but there was like 3 people screening the net, and somehow it worked his way into his glove.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. He caught it. Like I think it was between his arm and his body, and there was no rebound or anything. And I don't even know if he saw it, but if you're positioned good, then there's a good chance you're going to make saves. So he's just a really fundamentally sound goalie, and we're so lucky to have him playing like he is right now.
For sure. I would say this is as close as he's going to ever be to being dialed in again. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on his whole mental health stuff because a few years back, he took a leave of absence, so Halak stepped in. Obviously, he left the bubble last year to be with his daughter, allegedly, who was sick. But I think this is as locked in as we're ever going to see Rask for probably the rest of his career.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope not, but it could be.
So right after that, David Pastrnak, aka Pasta, is back on the menu with a fantastic goal. This series had a lot of highlight reel goals. I mean, obviously the Taylor Hall one sticks out. Mm-hmm. This one's right there too.
Yeah, sure.
Just a beautiful goal. He skated, he went in between the legs, he skated with the puck, and then he realized he could take it right into the crease, dangled around Samsonov, and just tucked it in. I mean, you gotta love it.
That cut he was like behind the net almost, and that cut he made to get back out front and just hold onto the puck and like just tuck it into the open net. It was just really good skating, and obviously his hands are great too, and he's the total package when it comes to that regard.
And this just proves how much better of a player he is when we let him do stuff with the stick and the puck. I mean, it's one thing if he's a spot shooter on the power play and we're just having him take one-timers. Like, yeah, he can nail those. I mean, he's proven he can do that. But the changing point in the series for Pasta, in my opinion, was in Game 4 and also in this Game 5 when he was being more explosive, getting to the net, getting more scoring opportunities, and taking more matters into his own hands rather than letting the game come to him.
Yeah, for sure. It was like we flipped the switch in Game 4, or he flipped the switch in Game 4. He was all over the ice, getting so many chances and so many shots. And, he's looking confident these past 2 games. So moving forward, if he keeps that up, we're going to be in good shape.
Because I'd argue him and probably Bergeron, even that whole first line, they might have the most momentum heading into this next series. So do you think Pastrnak can carry this momentum into the next round? Or is something like this long layoff, which is going to be happening for the Bruins, is that going to hurt a player like him who might want to, be playing more since he's younger?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I mean, I hope he can carry it through, and I think he's a good enough player where sometimes momentum doesn't even matter. He's just so good. But we've seen it that he has slowed down at points this series. But I mean, I think he'll carry through to the next one. But the break, it's definitely good for veterans, and like you said, it might not be as good for younger players because they, when they're in a groove, they can just keep going, no problem.
How was he in the bubble last year after the layoff? Because if I remember correctly, did he struggle when we returned to play?
I feel like he might have. That seems right. I'm not positive, but
yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I'm overlooking this because there's a big difference between a 1 week resting period and 4 months off from playing hockey. So maybe Pasta will be fine, but just something to keep in mind. Then right after the face-off, right after the goal, Backstrom and Mantha get 2 great shots right on Rask, but he makes 2 great saves. Then later in the period, Bergeron, snapshot, gets past the left side of Samsonov. He scores. Now the lead goes from 1-0 Bruins to 2-0 Bruins.
Bergeron, he just had like a pretty similar goal in one of the other games from the series. I don't remember which one exactly, but
Game 2.
Yeah, Game 2. So he's got that nice shot, and when he's like in good positioning, he has no problem picking the corners. And people don't always think of him as a goal scorer, but really he has multiple, a really large number of 30-goal seasons under his belt. So he does it on both ends of the ice. He's really offensively gifted, and gets the job done on the defensive end too. So we're so lucky to have him in Boston.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like he could have even more 30-goal seasons, but some of them have been shortened due to injury.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he hasn't always played on such a talented line too that has Pastrnak and Marchand, so that definitely helps.
So burgers are on the side. We had pasta on the menu. We had burgers on the side. Just a little play on the words. Is this a shot that Samsonov could have saved? Because I feel like he could have made a play on it, if you ask me. But I'm not an NHL goalie.
Yeah, Samsonov. So he came out and cut down the angle like he wanted to do on a shot, and Bergeron just beat him cleanly. But for sure, he could have saved it. But it was a great shot. So I'm not going to blame Samsonov too much, but it's one that he probably could have had.
How do you think he goaltended last night for the Capitals? Because he gave up 3 goals. Do you think he could have played better, not only in this game, but also in this series?
So, I mean, I know they we beat him pretty cleanly 4-1 here. But in my opinion, he's had a really strong series, at least the games he's played. And last night, the first 2 goals, the Pastrnak one, I mean, he really would have had a tough time stopping that. Pastrnak was going pretty fast and cutting across the crease, so I can't really blame him there. That Bergeron one, the first Bergeron one, you could argue he could have had. And I know I'm getting a little ahead, but the third Bergeron goal, Bergeron's second goal, third goal of the game, Pastrnak was screening him, so I don't think he could really see anything, so Bergeron was able to put that one home because I don't think Samsonov could even see it because Pasta was screening him, so really only one of the goals from last night you could argue Samsonov could have had. So that last night, I think he didn't face too many shots, but I think for what he let in, they were good goals. So I think he played well last night in the series as a whole. I can't really blame him for the Capitals losing it.
Right. I mean, there were some, I would say, in the first 2 games that, maybe he probably could have made some saves on. They just kind of caught him off guard. I would say, though, he's a big reason why that game 3, I want to say, went on as long as it did in the double overtime. He was lights out in that overtime period. I mean, the Bruins kept on putting shots on him, and he was doing amazing. I think he had a solid series. Obviously, it's difficult circumstances for him coming in after who was their goalie that got hurt?
Vanacek got hurt, and then Anderson came in, and then Anderson, they just stopped playing Anderson, and then Samsonov came in. So, yeah.
Has this performance by Samsonov changed anything or changed how he's viewed by the Caps franchise? Do you think, do they view him as, I guess my point is, do they view him as someone who could step in and be their number 1 goalie in the future? Because he is only 24. I thought he was 42, but I guess he's 24. How do you think does this change anything with the Caps and their goaltending situation?
So I think one of the reasons they were able to trade away Holtby is because they kind of counted on Samsonov coming in and just being a solid player for them. So I think I don't know how Caps fans felt about his play over the series, but if they felt like I did, I think it kind of showed that he's a solid goalie and he can perform. But I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed, but he loses his stick a lot. I don't know what's with that. The past 2 games, I'm pretty sure that's a thing with him. Is just he loses his stick sometimes, so he's got to clean that up.
Sorry, I already forget the name of the goalie who just got hurt in game 1. Vanacek is he better than Samsonov?
Honestly, so I know he's got the majority of. I'm not even sure. I don't even know where he came from, really. I heard nothing about him until this season. So I think he played most of their games this season, though, because I think Samsonov was having issues with COVID and whatnot. So I don't think it was the plan going into the season to play Vanacek all that much, but I think Samsonov had COVID issues. So Vanacek really had to step in for them. But I don't think Vanacek put up numbers that were all that great this season. So but I don't think they're going to go back to Vanacek. I think they'll have Samsonov as their starter and Vanacek as their backup moving forward.
So later in the period, after Bergeron extends the lead, Coyle explodes through the middle to get the loose puck, threw a backhander on Samsonov, but Samsonov makes a nice save. Coyle's another person who I thought had an underrated series. He started the scoring series or the scoring spree in game 2 with that nice explosive play, working the puck around Anderson, then finding DeBrusk wide open in the crease. And he's another player who, I don't know how he did this regular season, but when he's explosive and he takes matters into his own hands, I feel like he's a solid third line center. Yeah,
he's really good at working with the puck and shielding the puck up with his body. He's able to keep players on his hip and just skate with the puck pretty freely, and he's quick and he's got good hands. But this season he had a really bad, the worst goal drought of his career. I want to say was over 20 games, and
yikes.
But he's been showing up in playoffs. So
how has this trade panned out for the Bruins? Because I feel like you can assess it. I think it's been over 2 years at this point. Obviously, we picked him up right before we started that cup run in 2019. But how would you say this trade's turned out for the Bees?
So we traded Ryan Donato, and Ryan Donato's on the Sharks now. So I don't even Minnesota really didn't gain much from that. At least I could be missing something, but as far as I know. But he's awesome to have on our third line. I think on a lot of teams he might even be a second line center. And I know this season, he had the big goal scoring drought, but he's on the third line, so he's not going to be putting up the same numbers he might be on the second line where he's playing with, more talented wingers. But it's just so nice to have like such a presence on our third line. And, if someone gets injured, he's a guy that you can move up and down the lineup, no problem. So I really enjoy watching him play because he is so good with the puck and controlling the puck. And, it's just nice to have him on our team. And I think overall it was a great trade for us. And he helped us out in that run in 2019. And, he's a hometown. He's from Massachusetts, so it's cool.
Weymouth, Mass, South Shore. Do you like the contract that Don Sweeney gave him? Because if I remember correctly, we gave him a 5-year extension at like $6.5 million a year. Do you think that's a bit overpaid?
I mean, I think based on his play this season, it probably was, but I mean, it's not like crazy money. And when he's on, he's really good for us, so I don't hate it.
So right before the end of the second period, Hathaway and the Caps tried to stuff one in between the right post and Rask, but Rask was able to deny him. And after 2 periods, and I texted this to you, and we both agreed on this, this was a fantastic period for the Bruins, but also a concerning period for the Bruins. We were outshot after 2 periods by the Caps, 29-13.
Yeah, so I think we only had 3 shots in the second period or something, and we scored 2 goals.
Is that luck? Is that just bad goal? We touched on the goaltending earlier, but
there were good opportunities for sure, but I don't know, maybe Samsonov, maybe he gets a little cold back there when he's not, facing a lot of shots. He's just a little cold and he's not in the flow of the game, but I don't know, we just made the most, or you can just say the Bruins made the most of the few chances they got, which is also true. So, and obviously Rask really kept us in it.
Is that a thing that happens in hockey where if you're a goalie and you're not facing shots for a while, then and you're faced with a shot that you normally save, but it ends up going in because you're just so fatigued?
Yeah, for sure, I think that's a thing. If you're just standing there for a long time and you get you're just not in the game maybe, and you're not warmed up, the blood's not pumping, and people can just sneak one by you that you normally save. So it's definitely, I'm sure some goalies react differently, but I think for a lot of goalies, they actually like having a few shots and not just sitting there and just getting cold, and just not like you got to be loose, and if you're not facing any shots, you're really not moving, so you'll tighten up.
How much of an issue is it that the Bruins are letting their foot off of the gas right after they score goals? Because that's been a theme besides Game 4 in this series, where we score and we tend to play more defense than offense. Is this something that you think will be fixed, or do you think it has the potential to linger into the next series? Because, again, we saw that happen last night, where even though the Bruins scored the first 2 goals, the Pasta goal was way at the beginning of the period. Then there was a ton of chances for the Caps, and then we pretty much got a good break with the Berge goal later in the period.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me either, because goals are a huge source of momentum, and you score and you just let the other team control the play. Well, there goes all the momentum. So it's definitely an issue, and it's something we should fix. And I think we will fix it because we're a good team, but it could definitely be a problem if we don't, because goals are momentum, and momentum is huge, especially in the playoffs.
Is there any potential risk to being too aggressive after scoring a goal? Do you overplay your hand maybe a bit too much, and then what do you know, that the other team is able to capitalize off that and score a goal, and next thing you know, you're even?
I guess for sure, depending on the situation, if you score a goal late in the game, you don't, it's nice to then take it to them and bring it, but at the same time, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want the defense pinching too low, because, that can cause odd man rushes. And so you want to be, I guess, a bit conservative after scoring a goal in some situations if you really just want to preserve the lead. But, if it's early enough in the game and you score, you can just try to build the lead.
So after that, we head into the third period, and do you want to explain what happened 11 seconds into the third period?
So that was crazy, but they won the face-off. All right, I watched the replay, so I didn't see from the face-off. I was in the bathroom when it happened, but Sherry came in, he shot it, got his own rebound, and then he put it in, but it took 11 seconds, and you can't really blame. It was a juicy rebound that Rask gave up, but you you can't let a guy get his own rebound. You got to clear that rebound as soon as it happens as a defenseman. So you can blame Rask on kicking out the rebound, but I mean, he shouldn't have to face another shot. The defenseman should be able to clear that.
This is the worst way to start the period if you're
it was just deflating.
Literally everything went wrong because was Bergeron on the ice to begin this period? He might have been. Was he the one taking the face-off?
I don't know. I was in the bathroom and I only saw it on the replay.
Because if he was the one taking the face-off and he loses it, he's notorious for being amazing at face-offs. You got to realize, okay, this is already bad. They rush their way into the zone. They get a shot off on net, and you're like, okay, thank God we saved it. Let's cool down, guys. Like we're 5 seconds in. Then he lets up the rebound, as you said, and Sheary, top shelf, makes it 2-1 just like that, 11 seconds into the period. So was this just something where all the Bruins, including Rask, were just caught off guard, or do you think it's just the Caps came in with a design play right off at the face-off? How do you chalk up a play like this?
I don't think that's something you work on in practice, like center ice face-offs, like right into like a play down the ice and like scoring a goal like that. So I think it was really just spur of the moment, and it was a good play by Sheary because I think he took the initial shot and he got his own rebound and then put it in. So it's good just sticking with the play. But I mean, it is just a bit unexpected having that 11 seconds in. I guess it was a bit of a shock for Rask and, the rest of the Bruins. And that's tough starting the third period, because that's big momentum for the Capitals. Now they're only down 1 with a whole period left.
Right. And the only reason I asked about the design plays off the face-off is because Edwards said something, I think in Game 3 or Game 4, where the Bruins actually do that.
They definitely do that on like offensive zone face-offs for sure. But I don't know about like center ice draws. I'm not positive on that.
Because I think he was also alluding to that, and that seemed weird to me when Edwards said that. I'm like, a center ice face-off, and you're designing a play. But
I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. They very well could. But personally, I never did anything like that. But I know for sure teams have set plays in the offensive zone. Like they'll win the face-off, and then they'll try to get a quick shot out of it and catch the goalie off guard for sure.
So after that, Bergeron finds Marchand streaking through the middle, but there's a save Samsonov. Bergeron just continues his stellar night. First line, as we said, or I think as we said before the podcast, just really carried the way tonight. And that's been the theme of our team the last few years. Obviously, the meme has been, like this team has no one else other than their first line. Obviously, that changed this year with the acquisition of Hall and, Krejci, Hall, and Smith playing well together. But it was right back to that, unfortunately, last night. Glad we won, but let's be real, the first line carried everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay once in a while, but luckily we don't have to rely on the first line to do everything these days since the acquisition of Hall. So let's hope we only have, let's hope we got that one out of our system. We don't have to rely on the first line like that again.
And then Mantha hustles past Clifton on another play, and he gets a wrister from the left side. Rask makes a pad save. And the Bruins later on end up getting the puck out of the zone. There's a little bit of a scrum there, and Marchand and Pasta are in transition, trying to make a play happen. I believe it was like a 2-on-3 or a 2-on-2, but that play gets broken up. But Bergeron, who is trailing from behind, is able to stick with the play. Oshie tried to backhand it out of the zone, but he backhanded it right into Bergeron's stick. Then Pasta gets great positioning in front of the net, as you talked about earlier, and he screens the goalie, Samsonov. Bergeron gets a great snapper, pretty much as close to the net as you like, and he put it home. Bruins extend their lead 3-1. Bergeron's second goal of the night.
Yeah, Samsonov really had no chance on that, and that's why Bergeron's a Selke winner. He gets it done on both ends of the ice. Oshie, tried to force a pass or just clear it, and Bergeron's got such a solid defensive stick. He is always in the passing lanes, and he made no mistake of that there. He just got that right on his tape and shot it top left, and Samsonov really couldn't see it. So it was a great job by Pasta screening.
And that's just been the theme of the series. We saw it with Taylor Hall tying it up in Game 2, just sticking with the play after he started it. Craig Smith sticking with the play in Game 3, double overtime, catching the Caps sleeping. And Bergeron just, even though he was behind in the play and it looked like it was going to be a broken up play, sticks right with it at the right place at the right time, gets a great shot out of it, and is rewarded. And as you said, that's just why he's a Selke winner, like whatever. It seems like 20 times already. Jesus.
Yeah, I think if he gets one more, I think he's at fourth. I think if he gets one more, he sets the all-time record. So that'd be awesome to see. But yeah, Oshie's a really good player. So I mean, that was just a better play by Bergeron though to just knock that down and just intercept that. I don't even know if Oshie was trying to make a pass. He was just trying to clear it out of the zone. But it was a great play by Bergeron, just intercepting that and interrupting that.
Is it an underrated or an overrated aspect of hockey and by screening the goalie? Is that
I just was like thinking about it earlier. Like I can't like you can just stand there and the goalie literally cannot see the puck. Like he has no clue what's going on. He's got to like, and if he's trying to peek over you or like, look off to the side, that means he's probably not going to be in great position. So I think it's a really important part of the game. And, it's very effective when it's done right, as long as you're not in the goalie's crease or whatever, because that's just will lead to goalie interference and all that.
So there's a call for seconds of burgers, and the Bruins extend their lead from 2-1 to 3-1. Moving forward, Riley cross-checks Oshie, so the Caps go on the power play. Riley just had a stick just a little too high, but, just the undisciplined Bruins continue. Undisciplined Bruins plays continue. So Caps go on the power play. Kuznetsov backhand, forehand play right in front of the net gets stopped by Rask, but Eller ends up with the puck after it goes behind the net. He's able to tap it in or fit it in the empty net as Rask tried to scramble to get back over. But the goal ends up getting overturned. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, so Kuznetsov was in the crease with Rask, and he just clearly cross-checked Rask in the back. So I think that's a main reason it got overturned. And then I think afterwards, someone on the Bruins pushed Kuznetsov into Rask, but I mean, Kuznetsov already made contact with Rask previously and just cross-checked him right in the back, and that was really dumb. So the goalie was just clearly overturned. And you could see right away Rask went over to the ref and was right in his face, so they just immediately took another look at it, and we didn't have to challenge it or anything like that because it was just so obviously just a blatant cross-check to Rask, and the goal was overturned.
And I thought it was sorry.
I don't even know if they. Yeah, never mind. The goal was overturned. I don't know what I was going to say.
And it is impressive by Rask to even get over after all that too. The guy had a wide open net, but he still made a good effort to make a play on the puck.
Yeah, he got set back up for it.
But yeah, come on, Kuznetsov. You hit him twice. Obviously, that was going to get called.
Yeah.
Do you think the players have an impact on plays like that on the ice? Obviously, that was super clearly goalie interference, but do you think the players like to do in other sports impact the calls by the hockey refs by getting in their ear, being able to hear?
I think they all do it, but I mean, once the ref makes the call, he's not. I was going to say once the ref makes the call, he's not changing that, but clearly that's not true, which we saw, with Orlov's call. But I think it happens in all sports. They get in the ref's face.
That was another thing too that Jack Edwards brought that up again last night. The whole Orlov thing. He what did he say? He said something like, "Oh, a penalty on not on Orlov," but he said something. He's like, "I can't believe it! Orlov getting in trouble or something."
Yeah, I remember that. I know what you're talking about. I don't know. Was the penalty on Orlov? I don't know. It might have been the same one where it was Marchand getting a weak penalty, and he's like, "You call that? And you don't call, what Orlov did."
Yeah, because that definitely happened. But there was something else he said, and I know Orlov didn't get a penalty, but it was weird. But because he's like, I think Orlov did something. I forget what it was, but he said something, and Jack Edwards is like, "No, it can't be possible. Orlov getting in trouble."
He just won't let that go. I mean, I understand it, but we don't need to hear about it every 5 minutes.
Do you think Dmitry Orlov knows who Jack Edwards is?
That's a good question, honestly. I mean, if he does, I really don't think he cares what Jack Edwards is saying, because Jack Edwards has a reputation in other fan bases and, our fan bases being a clown. So,
I mean, you see it in the most random games, like Blues Sharks, and the comments will be like, "Still a better commentated game than Jack Edwards." What the heck does he have to do with anything?
I don't know. Literally everyone hates him.
He's fine. I don't know. I don't mind him, but
I understand sometimes, but it is a bit overblown. But he can for sure some of the stuff he says is just ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole Bruins Lightning thing that I mentioned either last podcast or the one before, where he's like, take your Harvard degree and shove it into the hospital or whatever. And it's like,
yeah.
People, I actually looked that up after the podcast and I read an article. Fans were complaining about the language Edwards used there, and they said he was being too violent. Is Edwards going to charge the ice? Like, do you think he's going to like beat up like Vasilevsky or whatever? Like, Edwards is not going to do anything. He's just calling a game. They're overreacting.
Yeah, I don't know. People love to hate him.
God, I mean, that's just violent language. Like, you're scared of Jack Edwards. Like, no, he can't beat anyone up. I mean,
I don't know, Jack Ed. He has some sayings sometimes that the puck's like rolling or bouncing. He'll call it a tumbling muffin. Then one game he just told a story about, I don't know, he was going grocery shopping or something, and an English muffin went tumbling down his driveway. Like, that's where he gets these things from. I don't know. He's got a weird brain.
You gotta love it. Later, Pasta had a spinorama play to Martian in front, but Martian couldn't get a stick on it. And then Orlov gets a slapper, or Orlov takes a slapper from the blue line. This is within like 5 minutes left to play. And it was wide, but for some reason the goal light goes off. And I have a heart attack.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it might have went in and bounced off the camera that's in the net, because you see that sometimes. It looks like it hits the post because the puck will go in and bounce off that camera like really quick. But I mean, I guess the guy sitting behind the net who controls the lights got confused because I guess it was just wide.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before. I've seen, I think one time we were playing the Panthers a few years ago. Everyone in the building thought that they scored, like literally everyone, but the refs ruled it no goal. But like the music went off for 5 seconds, like the goal horn, and they're like, no, like keep playing. And then the play continued. So I've seen that happen.
In the, I don't know what game it was, but Edmonton, Winnipeg, in their series that's going on right now, I think, I can't remember if it was Winnipeg or Edmonton. I think it was Winnipeg hit the camera with the shot inside the net, and it came out, and they literally played for like 2 minutes, and the play was just going on, and they were in the middle of like, just playing hockey, and the goal buzzer went off, and they had like, it was like 2 minutes old, and the goal buzzer just went off in the middle of the plate, so they had to line up for a face-off, and the goal counted. It was really weird to watch.
You have one job, NHL employees. Come on.
Yeah.
So right after the goal light error, and McAvoy gets tripped by Daniel Sprong, and the Bruins are heading to the power play. But this is a huge penalty because there's only 3 minutes and 42 seconds left in the game. So by the time that there's even strength play again, there will only be 1:42 left. That's huge. Big error by the Caps.
Yeah, and we looked good on that power play too. We were moving the puck around and just playing keep away.
Right, and the Bruins do a great job, as you said, after the power play, or in the power play and after the power play, to keep the puck in the Caps zone because it kept Samsonov from being able to leave the net. And before you know it, Bruins end up winning 3-1, and they win the series 4-1. Gentlemen's sweep. We win the last 4 games in a row. We kept Bergeron. I didn't even notice this until you told me, but we kept Bergeron in the game at the end with the empty net because we wanted him to get a hat trick.
Yeah, we do that sometimes. They were trying to get it to him, and I think he like might have flipped it down the ice once, but we just couldn't do it. But it's you see that on the Bruins a lot, where they'll have like someone will be due for a hat trick, and everyone will just keep feeding them the puck, and it's fun to watch. But yeah, it was funny seeing Bergeron out there with like Chris Wagner and Corrali, like 2 fourth liners. But yeah, just sadly we just couldn't get him the hat trick.
That would have been nice. I would have loved some. I would have taken some thirds of burgers. Never too much burgers. Lazar also had a nice play, beating out an icing. Even though when the game's won, we're still hustling. You gotta love it. And Bruins win the series. We're moving on. But the big question is, do you think this is it for Zdeno Chara? Because
that's a big question.
I didn't even know this until Edwards said it on the broadcast yesterday, but I thought it was only a 1-year deal for Chara, but I guess it's 2. Is that right?
Yeah, he's got 1 more year left on his deal. And I don't know, from what I've heard, he's been playing, he's played a decent amount this season, more than he probably would have played on the Bruins. And, I think the Capitals have put him into a lot of different situations that, if he stayed here, he wouldn't have had those kind of opportunities. So I think he comes back. I think he does.
I'm going to say he'll give it. I think this is literally the last year. Like, I think this is it. And it makes perfect sense because one more year in his contract. Once his contract's up, he can just retire. I think he'll give it one more shot. You know, would you say, is it fair to say this Caps team is going to be right back in the mix next year?
Yeah, I would think so. I think Ovi might be a free agent, but I'm pretty sure they'll get him.
That's right. Yeah, that's another thing. Is it a serious threat for Ovi to leave DC, or do you think he's loyal to the franchise?
I don't know. That'd be insane seeing him in another jersey. I mean, there's always going to be rumors, but I think he'll stay.
Because I saw a rumor for the Bruins about a month ago that we have intentionally worked on clearing out cap space to make room for Ovi.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen rumors too that Jack Eichel, he wants out of Buffalo, and I've heard rumors the Bruins are going to try to trade for him, but everyone's throwing out rumors.
Is Eichel from Boston? Is he the one who's like
He's from Massachusetts? Yeah, Chelmsford sounds right.
So yeah, Bruins end up moving on in the series. It's bittersweet, as we've talked about all series long. It's just really weird seeing Chara in another jersey.
That was weird.
It doesn't feel right sending him home after everything we've been through with them on our team for 14, 15 years. So it's just a weird feeling, but happy to be moving on to the second round.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a nice moment. Him and Bergeron, obviously, and then him and McAvoy, because they were deep partners, and Char really took McAvoy under his wing, and being the veteran he is, and that was nice to see them shake hands and hug it out. But yeah, it is really weird seeing Char on the other end of the handshake line.
And another thing that was weird to me was Tuukka Rask and Chara. I don't know if you noticed that, but they just had a quick moment in the handshake line.
Yeah, I think I was looking at my phone or something, but my dad was like, "Wow, what do they not like each other?" Like that was quick. And I didn't even see it because I looked down at my phone for a second, and the handshake was already done. But yeah, I saw that in multiple places that they had a very quick handshake.
Yeah, I mean, probably reading too much into that. Maybe Rask was just tired and he's like, let me just shake your hand and we can get on with the celebration. But
it is interesting. It does make you think a little bit, but it's probably nothing.
Thanks for blowing Game 7 2019 for us. It was interesting, but probably again reading too much into it.
I wonder how Chara is going to be feeling if we go on to win, and we go on to win the cup, and he's in Washington. That would be.
That's like how That's like how us Patriots fans felt this year watching Brady win it all in Tampa. I mean, you want to talk about a gut punch? That's as big of a one as it is. What about Krug too? I heard Krug is out of the playoffs with St. Louis.
They're done. They got swept.
I mean, Krug. If we go on to the Stanley Cup and win it too, Krug and Chara. Who do you think? Are you mad at Krug for leaving?
I mean, at the time, I was like pretty upset, especially because he went to St. Louis of all teams. But I mean, you really can't blame him, I guess.
That's what I was just going to ask you, because did he do us dirty? Is what I'm trying to get at, because you can give Chara a pass. Like, okay, like maybe we didn't give him a competitive offer or whatever. He's going to have a better opportunity in DC. Thanks for everything, but we wish you luck. Mm-hmm. But it seems like we gave a competitive offer to Krug, and he just didn't really want to play here anymore.
Yeah, it did. I don't know. You hear from him, and I think he said the offer they gave him took a wicked long time, and it wasn't. I don't know. You hear two different things. I've heard Krug tell a different story of what he was offered than I heard from the Bruins GM. So I really don't know who to believe, but I mean, I can't blame the guy for leaving. I guess it does depend on the offer, though. But I mean, if he felt like I don't know. I don't know why he would want to leave. But
right.
I've heard two different stories. I don't know who to believe.
What positives do the Bruins need to take in this next series, and what negatives do we need to eradicate from the gameplay? Because I would say it's pretty simple. Be more explosive. Stick with the plays like we did all this series, and take advantage of special teams opportunities. And then for me, eradicate. It's pretty simple. Stop taking dumb penalties. And we did a better job of this at the end of the series, but just try to prevent as many odd man rushes as possible.
Yeah, so I want to say we held the Capitals to I know we took 1 million penalties, but I think they only scored 3 power play goals, which, but if we keep taking penalties like we are, and we're against a team that has a hot power play, they could really make us pay for it. So definitely staying out of the box is one thing we got to improve. But I mean, as for positives, our penalty kill was pretty good, and our power play started to get better as the series went on. So if you can take those two things into round 2, we should be in good shape. And if the Pasternak and Bergeron and Marchand doing what they can, we should be in good shape.
Who's the better matchup for the Bruins in round 2? Because I honestly don't know, but I've seen people saying statistically and historically the Penguins are a better matchup for us. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think either way it's going to be close, and either team, is going to be tough. But yeah, I've seen that too, that historically we have done really good against Pittsburgh. But honestly, we played 2 games against Pittsburgh at the end of the season, and I think we won one and we lost one, and they played us really hard. It looked like playoff hockey before, the playoffs. They skated really fast, and they outplayed us for stretches of those 2 games. But we also played the Islanders at the end of the season, and the Islanders had a number at the beginning of the season, but at the end, we really looked like we outplayed them, and we looked like we were the better team. So honestly, I think I'd rather play the Islanders, even though I see a lot of people saying Penguins. But to me, based on what the 2 games we played against the Penguins at the end of the year, I would rather play the Islanders, and based on what we did to the Islanders at the end of the year too. So yeah, I'd be happier to see the Islanders than the Penguins, personally.
Give me your predictions for how each series would go. Bruins versus Penguins and Bruins versus Islanders. How many games do you think it would go and who would win?
Honestly, I think both would have potential to go 7 games. So, because the Islanders play really good defensive hockey, at least that's what they're known for under Barry Trotz. Their coach has like a really strong defensive system. So, the Islanders are a team that can shut you down, and that wouldn't be good. So I think, honestly, 7 games against them. And then based on what I saw against Pittsburgh, I mean, they looked really good when we played them. But, we split. We went one win and 1 loss, at least the 2 games I watched that were after the trade deadline. So I think that one would have potential to go 7 games too. We looked pretty evenly matched with them. But, I mean, I think we would win against the Islanders. Against Pittsburgh, I'm a little less confident. But, I just give us the win because I'm a bias.
That's what I'll do too. I don't know too much about the teams. I know Pittsburgh, who they have like Crosby, Malkin still, right?
Yep.
That's like all I know, pretty much the 2013 boys. Islanders, geez, I probably couldn't name anyone. I remember John Tavares, but he's on Toronto now, right?
Yeah, so the Islanders' most dangerous player is named Matt Barzal, and he's so good. I was watching like the top 50 plays of the season, and he must have had 5 of them. He is so good, but the way the Islanders play, he just doesn't get the numbers he would put up on a different team because the Islanders just are really defensively oriented. But and that Barzal, so I don't think it was the 2015 draft where we drafted DeBrusk. We had 3 first-round picks in a row. We drafted DeBrusk. I don't even remember the Zaboral and Senyshyn, or
yep.
We could have had that Matt Barzal. I was just talking about. We could have had Kyle Connor, a 40-goal scorer. The list just goes on and on of the players we could have drafted. But that was a bit of a rant.
Who has better goaltending between the 2 teams?
Probably the Islanders. I would say the Islanders have better goaltending.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just say Bruins at 7 for both series. Why not? Be a true homer. Yeah, I think. From everything I've heard, like the articles I've perused, it seems like we have just as good as a chance as whoever our opponent is to take the series. So it's kind of a lot of people are saying it's kind of like a coin flip.
Yeah, and that series is shaping up to go 7. So we'll see. That should be a good series too. Hopefully, whoever gets out of it is banged up.
Right. I mean, Bruins are going to capitalize on this rest, and then just hopefully take all the momentum we've got from Game 5 and Game 4 and the whole series as a whole into the next round of the playoffs. So we'll see what will happen. I mean, like I said right before we went live, high school graduates and the NHL playoffs have one thing in common now: no caps.
No caps.
Look, and another point right before we wrap up, it's just great to see, a dirty player like Tom Wilson get sent home and be suspended for 5 months by the Bruins. I don't know if you saw that meme, but it said breaking news: Bruins suspend Tom Wilson for 5 months.
No, I did not. That's a good one. But yeah, it was nice to see Tom Wilson get eliminated. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I do feel a little bit for Ovi because I know how hard he plays, and for whatever reason, I felt a little bad seeing him go home. But I'll take it.
I feel a little bad. Then I realize, didn't he just win the cup?
Yeah, he
like
won a
3
cup
years
in
ago?
2018. I'm pretty sure it's 2018. So I don't know why I even felt bad, but I did.
No, I respect the heck out of him too. Like I said, it's just the Caps. Like, and other people in the NHL fan base notice this. Like, they celebrate every goal like they won the cup. It's like, chill out. But we'll not have to deal with that anymore.
Yep.
Tom Wilson can get golfing, practice his stroke.
Keep the elbows down.
Right. I saw this. I saw another meme too. Someone said in the comment section of an NHL IG post where he's gonna break one of his clubs and then he's gonna spear his caddy over the head with the broken club because he's so mad.
Yeah, this summer he should just work on clean checking.
Oh, jeez. I guess we'll wrap it up there. So that is going to do it for this recap. Bruins end up taking care of business against the Capitals in 5 games. We win Game 5 by a score of 3-1 as we await our second round opponent. It'll be either the New York Islanders or the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let me remind everyone to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will have more Bruins recaps coming once the second round starts. I think I'm going to be doing a Bruins second round preview with Joe. Joe, who pops into these.
Yes, it's always nice to see Joe in the chat.
Yeah, we love the support. He wants to do a preview of the second round series. So once we figure out the opponent, I'll probably do that with him. There will be Red Sox recaps coming again as well. Make sure to check out the one that I did today with Ricky. We recapped the last 2 series that went on for 90 minutes. Don't know how I was able to talk for that long, but there you have it. Celtics recaps will be coming again. Obviously, there's a game tomorrow night. I did one at 11:30 earlier with my good friend Trevor, so check that one out too. Patriots recaps will be coming once the NFL season comes back in the fall. Reality TV show recaps will be coming in the summer once Big Brother and Survivor, my 2 favorite shows, come back. And personal interviews will be coming with me and my friend Andrew, where we just interview random people and try to understand them from a personal level. So lots of more content will be coming. The reason why I did 3 podcasts today for everyone watching is because I am going to be going on a little bit of a hiatus. I talked about this before in the last couple of episodes, but I'm getting my wisdom teeth out tomorrow morning, so I just need a couple of days off. So I blessed you guys with all this amazing content today, so I hope you enjoy it. That's going to do it for this recap. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, Brian, for joining me again. We'll be doing this sometime next week. Alrighty, everyone. Take care. Have a good one.